I am on a journey to learn Tagalog, and as someone who's half Spanish and half Filipina, I think it's about time that I actually learn it. I've always known that Tagalog and Spanish had some similarities. Growing up listening to my mum speaking on the phone to her siblings, I could always hear her speaking in a mix of what was Tagalog, Spanish, English, so I could always understand half of the conversation, but I couldn't understand it fully. So I think that's going to make it easier for me learning Tagalog as I go along in this journey. If you're new here, my name is Monica, and today I'm going to be looking at the similarities between Spanish and Tagalog, and these are words that I use in my day-to-day life and will also be useful when I go and travel to the Philippines for the first time. We all know that the first step to getting fluent is to practice, practice and practice, which is why I want to document my little Tagalog learning journey on here for you guys to see, for me to learn from, and hopefully we can have some fun. So let's get started. The first thing that I always hear from my mom when she speaks is "Cómo está?", which is the English translation is ¿Qué tal? Sorry, not ¿Qué tal estás? That's Spanish. The English translation is "How are you?" And in Spanish you would say ¿Cómo estás? So there's quite a lot of similarity there. If you can see ¿Cómo está?" and ¿Cómo estás?, pretty similar to be fair. So I feel like that's going to be a really easy one for me when I get to the Philippines and I see my auntie for the first time. I'll be like, ¿Cómo está? So that would be an easy one for me. Now another one is this one is azúcar, and if you speak Spanish, you might be able to recognize that's very similar to azúcar, which is sugar. So azúcar in Tagalog and azúcar in Spanish, I feel like they're very, very similar. I didn't actually know the word for sugar in Tagalog. The other one, the second word, is baño. Also, excuse the accent in Tagalog because I might not be pronouncing words correctly, but I'm trying. So the other one is baño, which is spelled B-A-N-Y-O, and then in Spanish you would say baño, and in English you would say toilet. So very similar again between the Spanish and the Tagalog word there. This is one that I've heard quite a lot of my family members say, and it's a viaje, which is in Spanish viaje, and then in English it would translate to trip. So it's viaje, viaje in Spanish with the like sound, and then trip in English. The next one, which I've heard this one quite a lot, is familia, like how's your familia? So like your familia, which is your family, very similar again with like the English as well. So familia, familia, family. The next one is super similar. So that one is escuela in Tagalog, escuela you could say, and then escuela and school. Very similar again. Very, very similar. These are like words that you could use quite commonly, so it's good to like know them, and hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier when I go to the Philippines. The next one is, this one again, heard quite a lot, is trabajo. I'm sounding like South American when I'm saying these words, but like trabajo maybe, and trabajo in Spanish, and work in English. The other one is, I hear this one a lot, like pasensya ka na, or like pasensya na, which I guess it's I'm sorry, like pasensya na. The other word is paciente, which in Spanish is paciente, and then in English is patient. So again, very, very similar. You could use patient for like I'm being patient or I'm treating a patient, and then in Spanish it's the same, like I have a lot of patience, or I'm taking care of this paciente, like estoy cuidando a este paciente. And in Tagalog, paciente, I guess if you're a doctor and you're saying I'm taking care of this paciente. The next word is, so my mom actually says the Tagalog word when she's speaking in Spanish. So she'll say like, vamos a la playa, rather than like vamos a la playa. She'll usually say the Tagalog word, which is a playa, so it's like playa but with an A at the start. It's like vamos a la playa, a mí me gusta bailar. Anyway, that one. So that is beach, which I'm sure you guys know. I'm sure you guys know beach is playa. So again, that's really, really similar, and I see a lot of my family members when they're saying let's go to the beach, they'll usually say a playa, which is interesting to know. That's the Tagalog version. The next word is camisa, which is camisa in Spanish and shirt in English. Very similar, basically same word, the only difference is the spelling. So it's K for Tagalog and then it's C for Spanish. So again, very, very similar. The next one, this is identical. Libro, same thing, book in English, same word. Gonna be very useful because I love my books, so you know that's gonna be a pretty useful word for when I travel to the Philippines. The next one is this one, like I can hear the word, is cebollas. Like when my mom's cooking or my family's cooking, they'll be like, oh, cebollas, which is cebollas in Spanish, which is onion in English. So that one again, very, very similar, like cebollas. The next one is cuento, which is spelled a little bit differently from the Spanish. So cuento, which is Kuwento, and then in Spanish it's cuento, Cuento, and then in English it's story. The next one is cocina for cocina, and in English kitchen. A lot of the words in Tagalog have like the K's in them, and then in the Spanish they have the C's. So again, very, very similar. The next word is bolsa, and in Spanish it's bolsillo, which is pocket. So bolsa, bolsillo. Bolsa kind of sounds like bolsa, which means bag. So yeah, sounds very similar. Bolsa, bolsillo. I'm not too sure how you say bolsa, bag in Tagalog. I'm not sure actually. Maybe similar. Bolsa? I don't know. The next one is zapatos. Oh my gosh, my family, when they say zapatos, shoes, they always say put on your zapatos. So they always say it with an S, but in Spanish it's with a Z. So that's kind of the main difference there, but it's funny when I'm hearing it because they always say put on your zapatos with an S. The next one is, again, this one is like, because they're so similar, the Spanish and the Tagalog, like whenever I hear my family say it, they'll always say it the Tagalog way, but they'll be talking in Spanish, but they'll just say like zapatos, frutas. So like rather than saying, so frutas is the Tagalog way and the Spanish is frutas, which is fruits, again, very similar. And it's just funny because it's always like with a P, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but like, yeah, like frutas, and that's how they would say it. The next word is coche. That means coche in Spanish, which is car. So it's very similar, but the difference again is the Tagalog has a K and the Spanish has a C. And then this one is so similar, pintura. So again, basically the same word, which is paint in English. And then similarly, lapis and lápiz. So just the S is different. So lapis, lápiz, which is pencil. And the last word is cuchara and cuchara in Spanish, and then spoon in English. So again, very, very similar. It's just the spelling's a little bit different, but they're very similar. There's so many words in Tagalog that are so similar to Spanish. Like, these are only a few. These are like basically only a few that are similar, but there's like countless more. And it's just funny because a lot of the time when I like hear my mom talking to her sibling, she'll be like blah 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 Tagalog, and then she'll like, it's like a dip of Spanish, a dip of English, mix, and that's like the full conversation. So I end up understanding like 50%, and it's always funny because I'm always like, what are you saying, and I like, if she's too busy on the phone and she can't tell me, I'll end up just like picking parts of the conversation apart, and I can understand overall the context of what she's talking about, and then I'll be like, oh, you were talking about this, right? And she's like, yeah, and I'm like, I literally understood the whole convo just from knowing like the little words that she was using. To be honest, like they don't speak fully in Tagalog because they do mix with English and Spanish words, which I think, to be honest, a lot of people do. Like, let me know if you are Filipino, do you do this? Like, do you mix words with Spanish and English as well, or do you speak Tagalog fully? And yeah, I think the other thing is as well, they speak a dialect, so they speak Pangalatok. Again, right, can we confirm this? If you're from Pangasinan, is the dialect called Pangasinan or is it called Pangalatok? Because I've been hearing both and now I'm not really sure if it's called Pangalatok or Pangasinan. Not really sure, but basically my mum and her family speak that dialect. So it's really funny because with one of her siblings, she speaks Tagalog, and with her sons, so my mum's sister's sons, she will speak with them in Tagalog, but then with her siblings, she'll speak the dialect Pangalatok or Pangasinan, whatever you want to call it. And it's really interesting to see like the differences, quite different. If you speak any other dialects, I'd love to know. I find it so fascinating, and there's so many, like there are so many different dialects, and I feel like a lot of them are really different and differ quite a lot, but obviously Tagalog is like the main language of the Philippines, so everyone understands it. And yeah, I can't wait to learn it more. I feel like it's going to be a really exciting journey to be going into, because I just wish I grew up with Tagalog in my life. I didn't, and I'm now 24 and I feel like it's so late, but you know, it's never too late to learn a language and there's always time for it. So this is why I am filming it on YouTube, so I can keep myself accountable, you guys can keep me accountable, and hopefully you can teach me something relating to Tagalog if you speak it fluently, or maybe you could relate to this video if you speak Spanish or you're on a journey of your own to learning Tagalog. Hopefully you found this video useful, but I'm very excited to like learn more words. Let me know what other videos relating to Tagalog you'd love to see from me. I am very excited, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it useful in some way, or if you want to come along in this journey, please subscribe and also like the video, because I'd love for you to join me in this journey together, and hopefully we can learn something along the way. But I'll see you guys in the next video next week. Bye!